Okay, everybody, so I'd like to start by saying good evening and a big welcome to everyone who's here in the room tonight, and also to welcome anybody that's watching on the video, because we are videoing tonight. I can promise you in the audience there's no audience participation, you won't be on the video, but it's just one of the ways that we thought we might be able to get more people to hear the messages that we're wanting to put out. So we are videoing, but as I say, you shouldn't appear in it unless you decide to get up and join me here at any point. So this evening is going to be in three parts. The first bit involves me talking and explaining some of the things about our school, which I hope you're going to find interesting. The second part involves us having some refreshments and having a chat, and you being able to ask questions if you have them. And also a raffle, and that bit I'm afraid only applies to the people in the room, so if you're watching on video you don't get the refreshments or the raffle. And the third part is going to involve us tonight watching a powerful film which has a really strong message for our community. And viewers at home will be able to watch that as well, because there is a link to it whereby people will be able to watch that as well. So I am going to speak from my notes because I have prepared what I'm going to say and haven't learnt it, but I want to get it right because the things that I want to say are important, and they're important that I say them in the way that I'd like you to hear them. So my name's Lena Carter, and I'm the head of teaching and learning here in the secondary school at Loch Gilphead. I think most of you know me already, with the exception of some of our pupils in S6, who I didn't really ever get to work with or teach. I know all of your children very well. I was stage head last year for our current S5s. I'm currently stage head for S3 and S4. And being stage head means that I have the overview of learning. I monitor progress, and I kind of have an overview of the key events that happen through the year of the year group. I also teach drama to all pupils in S1 and S2, so I know all of the S1s and S2s well, and I also teach at the moment a bit of French to S3, because as you know we have some staffing issues. However, we're not going to talk particularly about that tonight. In my spare time, I'm also directing this year's school play, which some of your children are involved in. And my two children attend the high school here. I've been teaching for the best part of 25 years, which I can't actually believe sometimes. I started my career in the south, in London and in Cambridgeshire. We then moved to Cumbria. We then moved further north to the Outer Hebrides, and we were there for 7 years. And then I came to Argyll in 2013. So, what does it actually mean to be head of teaching and learning, and why did I take the job? First and foremost, it's about ensuring that what happens in our classrooms and our school enables your children to get the most out of their school experience as they possibly can, and to be able to make a positive contribution to the world they live in. The curriculum is a word that we in education use to describe the totality of learning experiences that our pupils experience. It's about what we teach, when we teach it, and how we teach it. Or in other words, it's about what they learn, when they learn, and how they learn it. It's my job to work with our staff to make sure that all of our pupils have curriculum opportunities through which they can develop skills for learning, skills for life, and skills for work, and that they can grow into the best possible versions of themselves. Within this, it's not possible to have a one-size-fits-all model. Each one of our pupils is an individual on a personal pathway that needs to be right for them. I say to the pupils, whenever I have them in a room together, we will have future tree surgeons and future brain surgeons. We will have future musicians and future magicians. What we need to do is find the learning journey that's right for each one of your children. It's not always easy to do that. Success for one pupil may look very different to success for another pupil. As a school, and you've heard me say this before, we are judged partly through the assessments and the exam results that we produce. And there's no denying that these are important. Formal qualifications are currency, and they allow our pupils to compete in a world where opportunities are not always forthcoming. It's for that reason we want all of our pupils to leave school with the absolute best results that they can. But being your absolute best is about far more than exam results. In our Learn to Learn lessons, in our PSE lessons, in our assemblies, we focus a lot on the idea of being reflective learners, of using all situations in and out of school as learning opportunities. The successes and the mistakes are learning opportunities, particularly for children. The highs and the lows are learning opportunities. Our pupils here know that being their best is about being helpful, being loving, being understanding, and being a good human being. So my job is massively exciting, and I consider myself really lucky to have it and to work with your children on a daily basis. This year we've undertaken a major review of our curriculum to ensure that we build on the strengths of the curriculum we have, but we also make improvements where they're needed. The pupils have played a big part in that this year, and the changes that we've made to our curriculum have been very much based on pupil feedback, and that's taken several forms. In the autumn term, we asked all of our S3 and 4 pupils to complete anonymous surveys on their experiences of school and learning. They were incredibly helpful in their responses, hugely constructive and very, very honest. And this has already made us make improvements to the things that we do in here. A number of pupils told us they didn't feel that they got enough personal feedback from staff. They felt that staff weren't talking to them enough as individuals and really talking to them about how they were getting on. So we took that back to staff. We said to our staff, we need to do better at this. You need to find ways of having more one-to-one personal conversations with the students. And we've taken that on board and done that this year. Over the last 2 terms, all pupils in S1 have been interviewed about their experience of being in our school. And that's helped us to address some of the issues that are important to them. In particular, they've helped us to address some of the issues around feeling respected in school, and making sure that respect is at the heart of all our interactions in school and all our relationships. Excuse me. We've also established a pupil voice group this year, where pupil representatives have met face-to-face with a number of members of our staff to discuss the ways in which their voices can be better heard, because it's, you know, teachers and staff sometimes make decisions without listening to what the pupils say, and that's something that we know is really important. They've made proposals for a new pupil council group, which will be established any day soon. They've also told us about how they want to be supported with their mental health. And we might think we know, but actually we've heard some things from them, which is that actually they want maybe different things from us in terms of mental health. They've told us they want better information and support around equalities and also around LGBTQ issues. They've made that very clear. They want more on that. So we will be doing more on that. They've made strong representation that they want some mechanism for pupils to be able to meet with the same key adult every day, perhaps through a tutor group registration system. And we're trying to find ways of getting this into the timetable for next year. That's come from the pupils. They want one adult that they see every day. And that's really interesting that that's come back so strongly. It's something we felt as adults, but we've kind of now got it back from the pupils. All pupils in S2, and hopefully some of you know about this, and parents have been involved in anonymous consultation about how we tackle bullying issues in the school. The responses are coming in just now, and it's something I've been doing because I've been teaching a unit in drama, so we've asked the pupils anonymously to say what they feel the issues are and how we can tackle them. Bullying is a really difficult issue to tackle. We know that, otherwise it wouldn't exist. If it was easy, everyone would have fixed it, in schools, in society, and everywhere. But we've asked pupils and parents to come back and tell us anonymously, because as we'll see later on, sometimes there's a fear around talking about some of these things. So that's really, really helped us. And finally this year, we've got a new option system, which is in its teething stages, but it puts pupil wants and needs at the heart of the options process. So rather than giving them a form and saying, here's the options, what would you like to do? We've actually said to them, what would you like, what do you need to do for your career, for what you want to do? And we're now looking at putting the options around those. And it's been a really interesting process. And the final decisions around options will be made after Easter. We'd hope to do it this week, but actually we're not wanting to rush into something. We want the time to really look and have conversations and work out what's best for each pupil. Because with 500 pupils in the school, we should be able to do that. So we're hoping that that will lead to increased pupil satisfaction and more pupil needs being met. So, why did I want to talk to you tonight? Why did I invite you here? So I'm now going to say something controversial. Okay, so steel yourselves. Parents are the main educators in their children's lives. As such, it is vital to measure and understand parents' and families' influence on children's outcomes. A range of international evidence has shown that children and young people who have at least one parent or carer engaged in their education achieve better exam results, have higher retention rates and smoother transitions between nursery, primary and secondary schools. They're also more likely to attend school regularly, have better social skills, have improved behaviour, adapt better to school and engage more in schoolwork, have better networks of supportive relationships, have a better sense of personal competence, and be more likely to go on to further or higher education. Those are not my words, those are the words of the Scottish Government. And this is based on lots and lots of research that has been done. This is not about me trying to shirk responsibility or to say that the school isn't important. It's not about us saying that our role in your child's education is not crucial, because it is. Our role as a school is crucial in your child's education. But it's also saying that we have to ensure that we communicate clearly, effectively, and with one another as adults if we're going to do the best for our children. So it's not about us or you, it's about us and you. We've worked really hard in here on improving communication over the last year because we'd had lots of feedback that communication wasn't good and that parents didn't know anything. We still get a bit of that, but we're trying to work out where that is. So we've asked you all to sign up for our Messenger communications app, or communication system, and this allows us to send texts and emails and letters to you electronically. Where possible, we've asked you all to download the Expressions app onto a device, because if you do that, it means we don't actually have to pay to send you a message, and we're all about trying to reduce unnecessary spending. So if you can use the app, it means we save money that we can then spend on the other really important things in school. But some people have struggled with the app. If you don't use the app and you can't use the app, you need to let us know and you will still get a text message. If you don't do mobile phone technology and you don't want a text message, then we can still send an email. And if you don't want an email, and there are about 32 parents and carers that we know of, we'll still send you a letter. So we have now a system, and we can also, in the system, check when messages have been delivered, when they've been read. So it's just made it easier for us to know, if we believe we're communicating with you, we need to know that that's effective, and we've really tried to do all of that. We've also hugely improved our school website, and we update it regularly now with key information. You can go on there tonight and you'll find something that's out of date, I can guarantee you, but we're doing better than we were. And Divine also updates with a weekly blog, which gives you news about what's happened in the last week across the campus. We've also got a joint campus Facebook page for those of you that like Facebook, and that's proven really, really popular with the community, and it's a really good way of getting our good news stories out there. But communication is a two-way process. It is not just about us telling you things. And I thank you for listening just now, but this is not all it's about. Excuse me. The next bit we need to do, we've done all of this, but the next bit we need to do is work out how we can get more of you communicating back with us in a way that you feel comfortable with, and in a way that is going to be helping your children. It's absolutely fantastic to see so many of you in the room here tonight. I mean, 200 of you I never expected. I'm also hugely grateful to our very supportive pupil council who come out regularly to meetings. Okay, but there are an awful lot of people who aren't here tonight. And one of the questions we want to ask is why. It's really important that we listen to pupils, but it's really important that we listen to all of our parents and carers and get feedback as to whether they believe that we're doing the best we can here. I want to ask a question to those people who aren't here tonight, and I'm going to do that through the video, although you may not be watching it either. Is it you had a prior engagement? Did you feel intimidated about coming into school? Was school a bad experience for you? are you repeating that message to your children? Is it you don't feel heard by the school and you don't feel like there's any point in trying? Is it that you don't feel that you're the sort of parent that might come to something like this? Is it that you're worried you might have to talk to people or be judged? Is it that you're happy with the way things are? And is it that you knew there was a video and you'd rather watch that? Our pupils are all different, and you're all different as parents and carers, and we need to get it right for all of you. And an evening like this isn't for everyone. Fortunately, the 200 people in the room, it's brilliant for them, but the people who aren't here, there will be reasons why people aren't here tonight, and we need to try and understand some of those reasons. I can't answer those questions, but I think we need to think about them and try and get a sense of why some people don't come to school, why some people don't talk to us. In school, we do the absolute best we can with the resources we have to support all of our children. We don't get things 100% right, and we want to hear from you if we don't. People have different views on complaints. I like a complaint because it helps me to learn where we've made a mistake. That's a silly thing to say, isn't it? I don't like a complaint. I would rather no one had to complain. But complaints can be really useful in helping us to learn what we're not doing right. As I say, we do the best we believe we can in school to support our children. But we also need to know that the life they have out of school is fair, safe, and full of opportunities. We know that that's not going to be the case if they're drinking alcohol from a young age. We know that this is not going to be the case if they are regularly taking drugs. We know that this will not be the case if they're engaging in inappropriate sexual behaviours. We know that this will not be the case if they don't have clear parental boundaries. If we as adults can't define the safe boundaries for our children in our community, we need to ask for help. We need to ask other people to help us make sure that we define those boundaries and keep our children safe in our community. There's no shame in asking for help. We all end up in this parenting role with no great training. If we're lucky enough that we had good role models as parents in our own families, then perhaps we're doing an okay job at parenting. But some of us didn't. Some of us had things when we were children that have meant that sometimes as parents we don't always get it right. But if that's the case, we need to be honest and we need to ask for help. As a school leader, I don't want anyone as parents and carers to feel that they need to struggle alone. We need you to be honest and work with us so that we can create an environment both in our school and in our community that will allow all of our children to thrive. I've heard parents say they don't want to share personal information with the school. I kind of understand that. I've heard parents and carers say it's none of the school's business. But I have to say that everything I have learnt in my 20 plus years of teaching shows that pupils achieve best when information is shared that helps us in school to support them. If your family dog's died and your child comes to school upset, it helps us to care for them if we know that. If you're under pressure because you've got a sick relative that you're caring for and your family life is difficult, it helps us to care for your child if we know that. If you can't afford school shoes until payday, it really helps for us to care for your child if we know that. If you struggle to read the letters that we send home about your child, it really helps for us to care for your child if we know that. If you struggle to get up in the morning and face the day, it helps us to care for your child if we know that. It takes a village to raise a child, but we can only raise our children well if we're honest, if we're willing to work together and to ask for help when we need it. So to return to what I said before, we have to work together and ensure that we communicate clearly, effectively and efficiently with one another as adults if we're going to do the best for our children. that's clockwork. That's actually the right slide. The right. Thank you, Miss Devine. After tonight, I would like to invite everybody in the room and elsewhere to take part in a short online survey that's going to help us understand what you think we're doing well and how we can engage better with more of you. The link's going to be sent out via Messenger, but it will also be in all the other places that I've mentioned previously. So we'll put it on Facebook, we'll get it out there. And it would be really helpful if as many people as possible could give us some feedback. We've asked the pupils what they think about our school and our communications, but we really, really would like to hear from more of our parental community. The next part of tonight relates to our ongoing work in school to tackle bullying behaviour and promote respect. Bullying is an issue, as I said earlier, that occurs in school, but also occurs in society. And we know that it often involves an inability by one person to accept difference in somebody else. This year, we've done a huge amount of work around anti-bullying, including an intensive campaign during Anti-Bullying Week, involving a range of our partner agencies, such as the police and social work and the Mid-Argyll Youth Development Service. We've done curricular work in English. Some of the first years studied the brilliant book Wonder and then went to see the film. And we've also done a lot of work in S2 drama. We've just done a really intensive project on bullying. And yet we still have issues. And we're working all the time to try and understand how we can make things better. What we do know is that the most effective way to tackle bullying is to involve everyone in the community and to create a culture where everyone knows that they have the chance to speak out when they see something that's wrong. We know that 99% of our children know that they should speak out when they see the wrong thing. We know that. They know the difference between right and wrong. We also know that peer pressure and fear can stop them from doing so. If you came to my talk about teenagers, and I'm delighted to see that some of you came back after that, you know that peer pressure is massive for teenagers, and it's not just a thing, it's a neurological effect of being a teenager. They worry a lot about their friends and what their friends think. And we understand that, and we don't blame them for it, but we just know that it's a really important thing. But we also know that they can resist peer pressure if they're given the right messages from adults who they trust, and also from older pupils who they trust. Recent research into stopping bullying talks about the power of the bystander. And the film you're going to see after the break gives a clear message about this. I Am Me tells the story of Charlie, a young man with autism living in his community. As this week is World Autism Week, it's a particularly important film to be showing just now. It was developed by a community group. They're also called I Am Me. They're an award-winning group, and they're a charity, and they work in partnership with Police Scotland to raise awareness of disability hate crime. And it's recognised as one of the most underreported crimes in the UK. So hate crime against people with disabilities. The project aims to raise awareness with young people and community groups through the power of drama and film, about changing attitudes and behaviours towards disabled people. But it's more than that. It's about people and relationships. It was launched in 2013, and we actually had a live version of the play in our school. Did anyone in the audience see that at all? No. It was just phenomenal. You could have heard a pin drop. I think it was 5 actors came, and we had all of S3, 4 and 5 and 6 in the hall. And they performed this play live, and it was just phenomenal, and there was not a dry eye in the room. And they went away and they made a film of it so that more people can see it. The actor who plays Charlie was in our production. He's also in this production. And I will tell you, he is not an actor with a disability, Charlie in the film. The actor does not have autism, but it's a phenomenal portrayal, as it was when they came. So they've now made the film. They now work with Scottish Police and the Scottish Parliament to raise awareness. There's also a project that goes with the film called this Keep Safe project, and you might have heard about this because Mid-Argyll Police have just taken it on, and it's a project whereby local businesses and schools can sign up to be a Keep Safe location. And what that means is, if there's someone who's feeling vulnerable, because mainly if they've got a disability, they know there's somewhere safe they can go to get away from stuff. So, for example, somebody with autism may be having a bad day and just want to go and sit somewhere quiet out of a busy area. And there are shops now and businesses who will say, we're a keep safe area and we're part of this scheme. So I just saw on Twitter last week that Mackie Police have signed up for this, which is fantastic. Children and parents in here often talk about the fact that they don't want to seem like grasses. Okay? That's something we are really trying to fight against. I've heard a terrible expression, that snitches get stitches. I've heard that from people in our school. I understand that. I understand that culture and fear sometimes make people feel like that. But as adults, we have to challenge that. And we have to help children to stand up and speak when they know that something is wrong. I hope the film is going to help you to see why not just being a positive bystander and making a difference is so important. So we're going to take a break. There's tea and coffee outside. Please feel free to chat and ask any questions that you might have, and then we'll come back and watch the film. Thank you very much for being such an attentive audience. Thank you.